there'll be an Amnesty mission somewhere with maybe 2 or 3 people going to visit Colombia or Ireland. There'll be some big, interesting stuff that's come out of, again, in the newspapers about human rights abuse in Ireland recently. Yes. Does that answer the question a bit? We check and double check. They won't check anything on first information straight away. I remember getting a letter misdirected, a weird thing that landed on my desk in Amnesty, and it had come from Indonesia, Papua, and there was a thing saying, "This is our conditions." It was written in a tiny little scrap of paper, and written with a very thin bar, and you could just about make it out, misspelled, but he described the conditions that they were living in their cell, which was flooded. They were in water in their cell, and terrible conditions, and being charged with belonging to the Morning Star, Papua independence movement in the country. And I took my thing straight away to the researchers and said, "Thanks for this, we're checking it out." By their various sources to find out if it's true. And yeah, double check, triple check. So I wouldn't say we're always correct, but as far as we possibly can, we check out what's going on. Yes?
As a human rights activist, what do you think are the main problems in modern society that could face with human rights?
On the area of human rights that we deal with, I've gone through a short scamper of them, and the list is enormous, and the list of those very important rights that I really embarrassed I didn't give you one each to have, so many of those rights being abused around the world by governments who have agreed that those are fundamental human rights protected under international law and treaties and things like that. I don't want to give you a whole list, but I've gone through a sort of short scamper of some of them. And no doubt there are lots of human rights abuses that we ought to be dealing with and addressing directly. I mean, you've got yourself stuck into the wonderful, courageous Malala and her campaign on the right to education. Amnesty is not, as such, for instance, done a basic human right to education as a thing we've targeted especially. And yes, so it's a very, very long list. That's not an answer, but it's what you have to do with.
Sorry.
Yes?
How has Amnesty changed while you've been a part of Amnesty?
Ah, well, we were tiny. When I first joined, well, when my dad got first involved with Peter Benenson, there was just a handful of people, and it grew quite quick, but it was started quite tiny. And when I started working for Amnesty, I think we had 30,000 members in the UK, and we're now 250,000 or something like that. We're even bigger than the Labour Party membership of Amnesty. So it's grown hugely in size, but also the scope of the areas of rights action that we work on used to be quite narrow. We were doing, yes, just a handful of sort of 10 rights that we were particularly concerned with, and now we're spreading our concerns right across the universal declaration of human rights. It's a very major area of difference, and some particular things quite interesting, that things we now work on that we didn't originally. For instance, the death penalty. I think we started work on against the death penalty about 10 years after Amnesty started. We started working on people being arrested for same-sex relations in '91, I think that was. We took a decision in the Amnesty's huge biennial conference of the members of Amnesty. That was when we moved into that area. So lots of new areas of campaigning that we're involved in. Lots more now these days doing stuff on economic, social and cultural rights than we used to. Yes?
In all the campaigning, etc., that you've done, has there been any situations where you've put yourself in danger, like any So that's very...
In a way, but not. I don't want you to think of getting involved in Amnesty, your life is impaired.
No, no.
It partly depends where you are. I have had moments of worry about the situation. I was in a demonstration in Korea, a wonderful concert actually, a public event, and there was, yes, 1,000 more people, and wonderful singing, the great singers of Korea. So I thought, oh, this is good, here we are. And then the end of the concert, they said, oh, we're going on a demonstration to protest about human rights abuses by the government. And I said, oh, I'm coming. They said, no, you don't come on this one after all. And there were people watching this concert, taking part in their T-shirts, that went at the end of the concert, when put on their sort of huge padded uniforms and helmets and things like that, looking like Darth Vader or something, and then with huge metal sticks, and moved in on the demonstration from the other side. They called them the skeleton corps, and whacking people on the head. I was not in the demonstration. And tear gas, horrible tear gas. So I wasn't in danger because I didn't go on the demo. And I've been in a few things in dangerous situations. I went to see the military, have a talk with the military in the Philippines who've been on bombing raids in particular villages, things like that. There were bullets, belts and bullets and things like that. And what am I doing here, trying to argue for human rights in front of the military? But I've never been consciously in any real terrible danger, nor in Pakistan, stranger, my goodness. No, so I've been safe, and I think, on the whole, our members across the world are safe in their campaigning. You worry a little bit in a situation you're not used to. I hope safe enough. And our researchers take some risks where they go, but as far as I know, there haven't been anybody particularly, maybe I'm not quite sure, but hardly anybody that's been in all our years, as far as we know. However, if you're a journalist or something else like that, you're in a much more perilous situation, or indeed an activist in a different part of the world from the people, then you're in a different situation. Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
What inspired you to become an activist, an artist, and a author?
Oh my God. What inspired it? My mum was a painter, was a very good artist, unlike me, and I think partly that was something at the back of. I sort of grew up with her pictures around the house. In my late teens, I started drawing and painting quite a lot, and I sort of stuck with it. And yes, and that was the first one. And in various jobs I've had, I was started to write, and particularly wrote things for kids, especially my grandchildren. They get very good service from grandpa, children's stories. And I like writing. And Amnesty work has involved me writing quite a lot of stuff that some of you may bump into. Yes. Only half answered it. It happens to situations in your life bump into you rather than get planned. I think you'll find that as you grow up. Are you a writer? Aspiring?
Well, no. Not like...
It comes upon you and you can't stop, that's the answer, really. Good. Don't believe also what you read in the papers or in the internet about people. They get things completely wrong sometimes. Yes?
So we know that your dad was one of the founders of
Yeah.
Amnesty, and you've been running since you were 21, right?
Yes, probably. I can't remember exactly. I have to work it out.
What was the most defining moment